Dino, they definitely do. These weeks definitely fly by. You're not kidding. What's up, Patrick? Good to see you, man. Throw up some hundreds for you guys. Hope training's going well. Hope the weekend's been smooth for you guys. Getting a little rain here in Michigan. It's been pretty low key, but yeah, you nailed it, Dino. Time flies by. It's crazy how one day it's Monday, bam, it's already Sunday. Were you guys able to see the? Just got home from picking up my packet for my first race tomorrow since October 2004. Wow, you got me beat, Patrick. That's awesome, man. Is it what race distance is it? Man, okay, since October 2004. Yeah, you got me beat by quite a bit there. I respect you for going out and doing it again, man. That's awesome. Yeah, that inspires me, man. I haven't raced not since 2000. I haven't raced since I think 2000. Was it 2018? I think somewhere around there. Man, oh, awesome, Maureen. Great job. Broke 458 for 1500 this weekend. Training and base building going really, really well. Another 5K in 3 weeks. I'm hoping to break 18 minutes. Awesome. Congratulations. That is great. King J. Let me correct myself. King J. Okay. Hi, Coach. Hope you're doing well. I'm doing well. Thank you. As 10K ran. Okay. Doing well as 10K run 31:40. What pace should your tempo runs be for a 31:40 10K? That's a good question. Let's check it out. Let's see. Tempo pace is usually about 10 seconds slower than threshold pace. So for an athlete trying to run 31:40 for 10K, you're looking at around 5:29 mile pace. 5:29 mile pace, or around 3:27, 3:28 K pace. Yeah, very competitive time. Respect to you, King J, for going after a 10K that quick. Very nice. Hey, Isaac Edward, good to see you. Cool R from the UK. Okay, good stuff. Hope you had a good week. Enjoyed watching some of the athletics last night. Yeah, that was great. Kerr and Ingebrigtsen. Yeah, the fact that Jakob was able to open up that quick, 3:45, and to be that close to Kerr, that was impressive. I mean, Kerr did awesome too. Break the British record, and I mean, Steve Cram's record, I think, is like 38, 39 years, something like that. But to run 3:40 or 2:40, 3:45, yeah, great race. I mean, all of them. Whiteman, what was it, 3:47? And then, yeah, it was a great race for sure. Edward shaved off 8 minutes off my marathon this last weekend in Cleveland, despite horrible race conditions. Your tips helped a lot. Oh, congratulations. That is great. Oh, I got to throw up some love for my mom is on the stream. Got to give her some love right there. Good to see you, Mom. Marcus, hey, Coach Nate, any thoughts on how tempo threshold pace typically corresponds to target marathon pace? Is your tempo pace generally close to target? It is. It's generally, I mean, usually tempo pace, and again, it varies, because I know a lot of athletes hear tempo and threshold, and they're relatively close, but tempo pace should be somewhat easier than threshold training. Okay, when you're running at tempo pace, you should be able to extend that out for a longer distance compared to threshold pace. And again, everybody's got their own opinion on that, and I respect everybody's opinion on that. But generally, when you're running at marathon race pace, you're running close to, sometimes above threshold effort, but right around anaerobic threshold effort. So yeah, it's when you're doing tempo runs, it's kind of tough, because a lot of times like I did a 4-mile tempo run a couple days ago, and there were a couple sections of it where I was going into threshold. I was going up closer to 168, 169 beats per minute. So, I mean, I was going up, and then I had to, chill out a little bit and bring it back down to around 163, 164 range. Again, it's going to vary from when you're running with heart rate, it varies with age, it varies with temperature, it varies with humidity, hills, the terrain you're running on, things like that. So, yeah. Roland, greetings, sir. How important are arm swings when it comes to running? And what is your preferred breathing technique? I breathe through my mouth. A lot of, always don't try to change up what you do. And, if you feel more comfortable breathing through your nose or breathing through your mouth, do so. And in terms of how your running mechanics, your biomechanics, and how you run, that's very, very hard to change. Some runners are naturally, their cadence, their shoulders are always lower. And then there's other athletes that have their shoulders a little higher. They pump their arms more than other runners. Some runners run with their arms down toward their sides. So, I would just definitely recommend, you can improve that. You can always improve your form with speed training. Always when you're doing speed workouts, VO2 max type stuff, hill repetitions, things like that, generally over 3 weeks to 28 days, as you continue to do those types of training workouts, and I've noticed it too in my own training recently, just from having spent since December. Now I started my build up in December. I'm noticing now from the speed workouts and the hill repetitions, and same things I preach to you guys and gals here too. I'm noticing my easy pace is getting faster. My heart rate is lower. Like I can be running in the 120s and 130s and be running at the same or faster paces than I was running in the early buildup. It's just, as you all know, it's just patience. It's patience. It's doing the same thing over, and the repetitiveness, doing the same workouts over and over and over again, and just staying consistent with it, and knowing that there's going to be ups and downs. I deal with it too. I've always dealt with it since I've started training back in 92. There's days where you're going to feel flat and then you may be a week later down the road and you can hold like the same pace. You had an issue running for like 800 meters on the track. You can go and run the same pace for several miles on the roads, so it's just, as it's just, that's part of the game. It's like, you just continue to put in the work. If you're patient enough, you're going to start to see some adaptation. So Edward, let's see, Marian, I'm going into threshold base building block before starting specific workouts. I just ran a 458, 1500. What should be my, for example, 400 meter reps? Let's see, for a 458, or is this specifically for like, you just ran the 458, 1500. What should be my threshold paces, for example, 400 meter reps okay. So let's just say you're aiming for now, the fact that you've run 458, let's just say 452. If you're doing, let's see here. If you're doing 400 meter reps, you would aim a threshold, you would aim between around 121 to 123 for the 400 meter reps. If you're going really, more toward VO2 max effort, that'd be more toward around 113 to 115, 116 range for the 400 meter reps. If you're doing K reps, threshold would be around 355 per rep at threshold effort. And let me see. Yeah, and you're asking for threshold paces. So yeah, for the Ks, it'd be around 355 for threshold. If you're going down toward like, closer to VO2 max effort, it'd be anywhere, 325 to 330 range for those Ks. Edward, any tips on nausea during races? I was struggling getting gels down in the hot weather. Had no problems in training though. Yeah, it's that's a good question. Dealing with nausea in the races, the best recommendation I can say is just, if you're training and you're practicing that, you're taking in gels. A lot of times it can be can be a lot of factors for why you have nausea in the race. It can be nerves. It can be dehydration. You can be taking in the gels, but you may not be taking enough electrolytes. I just think that if you continue to practice taking in some electrolytes in your long runs in training, and taking in some water, just plain water, along with gels or without gels, practice every other week. Try something different and see how you're feeling in the race. But I think a lot of times nausea, just stay as calm and relaxed as you can in the race. A lot of times you can't control. Sometimes, like I mentioned before, you can do everything right, and it just doesn't pan out in the race. Especially in these longer races, it's not like a 1500 is extremely hard to compete in. A 5,000 is hard, 10,000 is hard, but especially at like a half marathon or a marathon, where you really have to focus on your caloric intake, your hydration. If you neglect those, or you can be dealing with, especially in the heat and humidity. It's a lot of runners deal with nausea. And a lot of times it comes just down from dehydration. I remember running the Army 10 miler years ago in DC. There was a guy that was running next to me who basically passed out. I had to stop and help him. Fortunately, we got some paramedics to him pretty quick. And at that point, you could care less about the race. You care about your neighbor. You know what I mean? Somebody that passes out, and he was in bad shape, and it was beyond nausea, but he was dealing with a lot of stuff, and obviously he was extremely dehydrated. So continue to take in gels, but definitely make sure you're hydrating, because you can take in gels, but if you're not taking enough electrolytes and enough fluid in the race, that can really cause problems in terms of nausea and weakness. Just overall athletic performance is dramatically decreased by that. So, hey, Gerardo, Coach, was wondering what's more important during long, easy runs, to stay at your set easy pace, or to make sure you stay at zone 2 heart rate? After 20 minutes or so, my heart rate goes to, the heart rate. And I just made a video about that for next week too. I think it's important to focus more on your how you're feeling in your workout. When I do easier long runs, I don't really even pay attention so much to pace. I mean, the pace can be in the 8s. It can be 8-minute mile pace. It can be 6:30 mile pace. It really, the easy long run should be just focusing on time on your feet, building that endurance. I would focus more on just the overall. And you can wear the watch and wear the heart rate just to make sure you're staying in the right heart rate zone, but just don't get too wrapped up in it. As you mentioned, okay, after 20 minutes or so, my heart rate goes into the 140s. Yeah, and sometimes you can be like at an absolute jog, and your heart rate is the 140s or 50s, and other days you're in the 120s and you're at the same pace. So again, it just varies from day to day. And a lot of times it can be you're not recovered, and you need to even take it slower. But I would focus on just feel, and rather than just the heart rate. I don't know if that answered the question, but that's what I would do. Especially, I mean, like I mentioned, on the easy days, they're chill, they're relaxed. When I'm very fit, it's extremely difficult, both physiologically and mentally, to do some of these workouts. So I relish in those easy, relaxed days for sure. So definitely take it easy focus on the easy pace. Yeah. David, looking to run Valencia in December. Can you give some 10-week base building tips? I'm looking to start 22 weeks of training soon, and I need an idea of the sort of base mileage. Looking to run 3:15. Yeah, well, you definitely picked a great race. Valencia, from what I hear, Valencia is the race. Great course. Looks a lot like Berlin in terms, and I actually watched the 2022 and 2023 Valencia. Looks a lot like Berlin in terms of the course itself. Yeah, I think that 10-week base building phase before you start a 22-week buildup is smart. Because a lot of times we think of just doing 8 weeks or a 12-week training plan for a marathon. And I'm like, man, if you really want to get it right, a lot of times it's going to take 6 months to a year. And but during the 10-week base building, I would focus mainly on building your aerobic fitness. Focus on gradual increase of your mileage. I don't know. In terms of mileage, I mean, again, some athletes do very, very well on like 40 miles a week. Other athletes need to do 100 miles plus a week. And if you're doing lower mileage, doesn't make you any less of an athlete that's doing more mileage. There's some again, it's just the quality over quantity mindset. But yeah, I would focus on easy aerobic mileage, gradually building up your the long runs, but focus on easy long runs during that base building phase. Don't do any of these very paced long runs I talk about during base training, because you have another 22 weeks on top of the 10 weeks, and you don't want to get too fit too early going into your key, going into Valencia, which I think is December 1st. Yeah. So, but during base phase, you can do some light workouts. A lot of times, even myself during base phase, I mean, I like doing fartleks where it might be 10 minutes, 1 minute, 10 minutes of 1 minute moderate, 1 minute easy, or maybe like 10 times 2 minutes hard with 1 minute easy or 2 minutes easy, just going back and forth. And then doing strides, doing 5 to 6 about 50 meter strides. I usually say 100 meters, but really 100 meters is a pretty long stride. So 50 meters is, I'd be doing 5 to 6 50-meter strides about 3 times a week during those 10 weeks, and then focus on your specific marathon buildup going into Valencia. So yeah, good luck, man. 310's no joke too. I mean, athletes going that or 315 going for a 315, you got to be very fit, very strong, and I know you'll get under 315. Immortal Man, let's see. I added 1 minute to my run every other day and slowly decrease the pace every 10 runs. I did this all the way up to 150 minutes 4 times per week and ended up with about 80 miles per week. Awesome. 240. Awesome. Yeah, that's a good plan of action too. Again, just general, gradually getting fitter and fitter, but not trying to move too quick, not trying to run too far for your long runs. First, like David, spend several weeks, 10 weeks is solid, 4 to 8 weeks, 10 weeks, around that range, building that aerobic fitness. And then before you start doing any of these other types of very paced long runs, faster track workouts and fartleks and these other types of, you can do fartleks, but just, don't make them too far, Let's see. I'm planning to run a sub 3:30 marathon on Saturday. Okay. But it's going to be around 80 degrees. Should I go for it or lower my expectations? Yeah. I mean, 80 degrees is pretty hot. Make sure you definitely, let's see, when are you going for that? This coming Saturday. Yeah. Definitely make sure you carb load well, starting now, and continue to hydrate well. There's a drink that I definitely recommend. You can find it on Amazon, Hoist. I looked at their website, and if you go to their, I want to look up their site. I think it's hoistdrink.com. But their sports nutrition on their website says that their drink keeps you hydrated 110% better than water. So pretty, let me see here. Let me make sure. I'll leave it here in the chat so you guys can check it out at least. And I reached out to them. Fortunately, they were pretty considerate with giving me a discount as well. But if you want 10% off, if you go to their website, I get nothing for this, but it's, I did tell them that I have, a YouTube channel, website, and is it possible to get my subscribers and visitors to the site a discount? They offered a 10% discount. So if you want 10% off, you can use this code here. But that drink, check it out. I've bought a few boxes of it now, and I absolutely love it. And it's filled with the right electrolytes I need. But I was impressed with that, with their sports nutrition and what they said at the, I think it was the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, I believe, did a study, and they said that it basically keeps you hydrated 110% better than water. So something to check out anyway. So, but in terms of your question there, 80 degrees and lowering your expectations, I would definitely adjust your pacing if it's going to be 80 degrees, and make sure you do a negative split. Be much more calm in that first half, because it's even in the marathon, it's easy to get caught up and run way too fast in the first half versus the second half. So yes, adjust your pacing probably 10 to 12 seconds, about 10 seconds per mile, slower in the first half, and then see how you feel in the second half, and make sure you hydrate well in that race. As long as you do that, you're going to be okay. Hey Vito, I ran 1:23:20 half marathon a week ago. Congratulations, that's awesome. Nice job. I want to run a sub 250 in Valencia in December. And we got a lot of people running the Valencia in December. That's pretty cool. Do you think it's realistic? What should I? Let's see. I want to see something here. Your aim is let's see, 250. So let's just say 249. 249.59 for the marathon. Yeah, 249.59 marathon is equivalent to a 1:21:22 half marathon. So yes, I mean, I definitely think it's realistic to run, especially on a course like Valencia. And Valencia, from what I've researched on that course, and looks like the weather is real nice during December. It looks like it's a faster course than Chicago. I've run Chicago, and I do remember there are still some turns, and of course there's going to be some turns in Valencia as well. But it looks more of like a Berlin course, so there's minimum hardly any hills on that course. And I think it's definitely a good shot to go after that. But based on your fitness, 1:23:20, yes, I think you have a very good shot at breaking 250. What should I do until the start of 16 weeks with the start of 16-week training block? Well, it goes back to like what the other gentleman was asking about in terms of make sure you don't immediately start a training block with no aerobic phase, base phase. Of course, you've already got general fitness. You're in great shape. You've dropped the 123 half a week ago. I would give, because the race is until December, I think it's December 1st. You have plenty of time. So I would I would at least give yourself a week off. Take a week off, give yourself some time to heal from the training you've been doing. You're not going to lose any fitness in 7 days off anyways. But that's what I would do, and then start your build up, your overall your 16-week training phase. After you've built at least 4 to 8 weeks of aerobic base building phase, base mileage, before you start that 16-week build up. But yeah, you're in great shape, Vito. Yeah, you got a great shot at breaking 250. 1:23:20. Respect. King J, coach, 3:28 pace. That's my middle long run, 13 to 15 kilometers. So can I run 3:20 pace for my tempo instead of 3:28? That's my middle long run pace. Yeah, you can. Yeah, 3:20 is not dramatically, that much faster. I mean, over the distance it is, but yeah, if you're feeling good and you feel in control, yeah, 3:20 is solid. Patrick, any tips on warming up before a 5K? I overtrained and have a tight hamstring and hip flexors. Takes a while to loosen them up. Yeah, I mean, stretching is important. So, I mean, doing some light strides. And again, these strides don't have to be very long, but just jumping into a 5K. I've seen a lot of athletes just jump into races. Even when I was in the military, we would do our PT tests, and it was crazy. I'd see guys smoking cigarettes before the start of their 2-mile run and do no warm up, nothing, no strides, just start and try to run as fast as they could for 2 miles. And I'd always think that was odd, but I mean, not everybody has that. They don't even a lot of runners, a lot of it in the military at least, they're not really. You mentioned strides. Are like, what is a stride? I don't know what stride is, but yeah, in terms of 5K, you do want to usually before 5Ks, I do 1 to 2 mile warm up, do some 50-meter strides, but make sure that you and definitely stretch well prior to the start of those types of races and after when you're done. If you get access to an ice bath, a lot of these universities and colleges have those. What do you call it? They're basically ice baths. They're made out of aluminum, and you just sit in them. And extremely uncomfortable until your legs go numb. But again, you can ice your legs. You can my coach in college, Jack Hazen, he would always have us prop our legs up on the wall after we're done with our workouts, just kind of flush out those toxins and things in the body, and trying to help you recover a little bit better as well. And I do that to this day. So yeah, if you're feeling, let's see, and have tight hamstrings and hip flexors. Yeah, I mean, I mentioned this before too in other streams, but if you have the means, I would recommend getting this. Hold on a second. Fit King compression device. Look that up on Amazon. That will help you as well, because what I like about that Fit King device is it constricts all areas of the body, all areas of your legs anyways, your hips, your hamstrings, hip flexors as well. And that can help you recover. But there's so many other things you can do prior to the start of these workouts, but those are things that can help you recover a lot quicker. So, hey coach, I did a 5,000 meter, I did a 5,000 PR at 90% effort, 17:55. Is it possible to break 17 minutes within three to 4 months? And what is the workout I should really concentrate on? Yeah, I mean, 4-month block of training, 55 seconds is a big jump, but it's possible to do it if you're in, and especially if you did 90% effort. If you don't feel like you were going all out in that 5,000, yeah, I think it is definitely possible for sure to break 17 minutes. And what is the workout I should really concentrate on? I like doing Ks, repeat Ks. If you can do about 7 to 8K reps on the track, you're going a little bit further than race distance. But doing those Ks at about 10 to 12 seconds faster than your goal 5,000 meter race pace. In this case, the 17-minute pace, if you're trying to break 17 minutes, spend some time running around 16:45 5K race pace. Again, it's going to feel uncomfortable. You may, if a K feels too much, then do repeat 800s at that pace. So, but yeah, definitely you can do it. Ryan, what's your opinion on heart rate monitor watch versus chest strap? Yeah, I think from what I've seen, I mean, I've used them both. I think the chest strap is more accurate. I think they're relatively close in terms of accuracy, but sometimes they can be way off. I mean, if you can be wearing the chest strap, and if it doesn't have water, or if it has no moisture on it or whatever, it doesn't pick up until you're like a few miles down the road and you start sweating a little bit. But I think between the two, they're both good. Like I just got the new Garmin Forerunner. It's pretty accurate in terms of the heart rate based on the way I've been training. I think it's very accurate for where I'm at right now. But the chest strap, because it's right on the heart, I think that one's if you're wearing that, it's a little bit more accurate compared to just the watch itself on the wrist. I mean, I know it tracks the heart rate on the pulse on the wrist, which is still solid too. But yeah, Moran, let's see. I just watched some training advice from Canova and Dr. Joe Vigil. They use percentage-based trading. Yep. Example, 85% of mile time. How would you use this during a 20-week build-up, increasing distance and pace? Yeah, all of our training at Malone University revolved around Dr. Joe Vigil's philosophy. Coach Hazen and Vigil are like brothers. And so we would do, when we were training for cross country, we would always start off 85% of our best mile time to do our repeat miles on the grass. And so I would always start off at 5:05 because it's 80. My PR is 4:22 for the mile. So 4:20 is the where I based it off of, because I was, only 2 seconds off, but I would start off 5:05 pace. We would do that for 3 weeks, do repeat miles, or if you're during a buildup, a 20-week buildup, same thing. If you're training for the marathon, it can be repeat 1600s, starting off at 85% of your best mile. Do that for 3 weeks, because again, I mentioned it in videos because Joe Vigil and Jack Hazen told me, it takes the body about 3 weeks to 28 days for the body to adapt. So we would always do our mile repeats off of 3-week cycles. So it would be 85%. After 3 weeks, we would move to 88% of our best mile. We would then spend 3 weeks at 88%, then we would move to 92%. And we would do that for 3 weeks. And our taper was a little different. How Joe Vigil does it is we would do an all-out 2 mile, and then we would run 2 1600s after the all-out 2 mile. So it's a little different when you're training for, and this was training for 8K. Those types of workouts helped me to run 24:32 for 8K in college. So I think that if you're training at much faster than goal race pace, which, if you're starting off conservative, you're not running all out, but you're running at 85%. And then as you adapt, you're elevating your percentage of your best all out effort for a mile. That's I think that's a proper way of preparing for these races, a gradual process, but if you're training for the marathon, it's similar. It could be, again, doing 5 to 6, 5 to 10, 1600 meter reps at 85% of your best mile time. Spend about 3 to 4 weeks at that effort, and then move to 88%. Again, Dr. Joe Vigil's book, Road to the Top, I would highly recommend. I have that book myself, and I referenced that going back, just kind of reminding myself of the training philosophy that he taught us, Coach Hazen taught us at Malone, but also what Coach Vigil reminded us to do in these longer events. So hope that's helpful. Mark, hey coach, I just did a 10K race today, got a PB. Congrats, that's awesome. Was significantly slower than my target time due to a heavy cold. Any tips on how to pick yourself up physically and mentally after a bad run? Yeah, my best advice, and I know this is not easy to get over it quick, because you can't change that race. You can't change anything about it. Some of the Kenyans and other top runners that I trained with when I was with the World Class Athlete Program, they are very quick to get over a bad workout or a bad race. So in terms of your overall, if you had a heavy cold, just continue to hydrate very well, get plenty of sleep, be patient with yourself. If it means run, 3 days very easy, or 3 or 4 days very easy, instead of doing any types of track workouts or road workouts, I would do that. Because you're not going to lose any fitness by running easy for a few days. Just be patient with yourself, and don't try to push yourself too hard when you're not at 100% fitness. You got to take care of your health and body first. But in terms of picking yourself up, just remind yourself of what goals you have, and keep that'll keep you going through the tough times, or when you're running it and you're not quite where you want to be. That's my advice there for sure. But congrats. I mean, that's great. You got a PB on that still. That's awesome. Hey, Super Trebo, question about the hydration vest. Do you think you can put Gatorade or Powerade in bowls of vest, or is it better to get hydration vests that have bottle holders at front vest? I heard not use. I've never used a hydration vest, but it's something I would recommend it still. I mean, I may consider getting a hydration vest, even for a few races that I may have coming up, at least to have on me for the first few miles of the race. You can always take it off, but and of course, if you have let's see, and your question here is, though, do you think you can put Gatorade or in bubbles. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could. I mean, if as long as it's a hydration vest, yeah, you could. I don't know how in terms of the clean it out outside of just washing it out manually. Yeah, you should be able to put both Gatorade, Powerade, or the hoist drink that I mentioned there. Any of that. What I like about that hoist drink though is it doesn't taste as thick as Powerade and Gatorade though, but it's slam packed full of electrolytes, and it does taste really really good. So definitely, all of you that are on the stream, take a look at that. Again, I get nothing out of that the discount. It's not an affiliate. It's just I mentioned to them in the email that, hey, got a lot of runners here that may be interested in your drink. Could you offer them a discount? And they said that was the discount. So Pennington 10. But yeah, I guarantee you, if you check that drink out and you try it in training, I think you're going to understand where I'm coming from. It's they got a blackberry, watermelon. What's the other ones? Blueberry flavor and a few other flavors too. But let me see here. Alfie, hey coach, how would you recommend doing threshold training without lactate testers? Without lactate testers, I mean, again, it just if you don't have a Garmin or you don't have anything on, I mean, of course, if you know the distance of the route that you're doing, that's at least you know how far you're going. But without lactate testers, oh, I see what you're saying. How would you recommend doing doing threshold training without lactate testers? Yeah, I'm saying I see what you mean. Yeah, we actually did that when I mentioned earlier here in college, doing those repeat miles on grass. Coach Hazen would actually test us after each one of our reps to find out our lactate, our blood lactate, and without a blood lactate tester, I don't know how you would actually find out exactly what millimoles you're running at. If you're running like in the 2 to 3 millimole level, I mean, you're really running aerobically. But if you're going into the 4s, 5s, you're going way anaerobic. But without those, I don't know, outside of just overall effort, like if you feel like you're absolutely taxed, like to the limit, like you're definitely running a VO2 max effort, you're going too fast. You need to, slow down the pace and settle more into, a moderately hard effort, which is what threshold training generally feels like for the most part. Some days it feels very hard, but again, a lot of times we think we're going all out, or we think we're running at threshold when really we can go a little bit faster. So yeah, I don't know how to answer that. I don't have a great answer for that outside of without lactate thresholds and actually finding out what your blood lactate levels are. I know the Garmin watches give you a general idea of like your VO2 max and gives you a breakdown of the workouts themselves, but I don't know. And I haven't looked into this new Garmin 965 is ridiculous, has way too much on it. Definitely the watch, I would recommend checking it out, but any other lower, the older models of the Garmin's are just as good, as long as they give you a heart rate, your distance, your pace, it's great, so you don't have to go out and spend a few $100s to get one of these higher end models. But yeah, I think in this new Garmin, I think it may have a lactate tester, but I don't know how you could actually, I'd have to look into a little bit more, but I don't think that without actually testing the blood, there is a way to do that. Long-winded answer there. Sorry about that. Yusuf, hello, coach. I have a 10K road race next Sunday. Okay. How to taper for it and when to do a massage and ice bath. Yeah, I wouldn't change up what you're doing too much. Like if you're not doing regular massages now, don't get a massage, leading into the race, because again, it may just throw you off a little bit. Not necessarily, it may help you quite a bit by getting a massage prior to, but generally, if you haven't been doing that prior to races, wouldn't suggest it, but definitely after, for sure. Ice baths after, absolutely for sure. The taper, let's say your race is next Sunday, Thursday, right? The last workout I would do. Yeah, the last workout I would do would be on Wednesday. And if it's let's see, it's a 10K, maybe doing like 6 to 8 400s on Wednesday, and then easy, relaxed running on Thursday and Friday. Maybe take Saturday off, or just jog for about 15 minutes. Do a few 50-meter strides, and then do your race. That's what I would do. Good luck to you too. You'll do great. Del B, can't break the 5-hour marathon. I got your ebook to accomplish the goal. Can't wait to start. Good stuff. Summer in Arizona is brutal, so just establishing base runs up until August, where I'll begin. Yeah, Del, I did some training in Phoenix, and I definitely hear where you come from. Arizona is that's one of my favorite states in the union. I absolutely love Arizona, but man, does it get hot out there. And in Phoenix, where we were at, we were in pretty heavy training build up. That was when I was with the U.S. Army World Class Athlete Program. And what I liked about there is just those canals that are in Phoenix. I don't know what part of Arizona you're in, but man, we could just do solid tempo runs with just no undulations, just flat right along right along those canals there. It was awesome. But yeah, you can definitely get under 5 hours. I know it's marathon is definitely complex. I mean, of the most respect for just anybody that's just trying to start and finish a marathon, let alone trying to run these times, and again, if you run it properly, you run the tangents in the race, you hydrate well. And the tangents, that's what I mean. Just don't run any further than you need to in the race. It's already long enough as it is. So draft off the runners in the race itself too. There's going to be plenty of athletes out there that are going to push you along to that. But if you expend less energy than your competition and you get in a nice group, they'll pull you along to get in the fours. So definitely I look forward to hearing about your 4:59 or quicker time. Hey Theo, good to see you, man. Let's see, hope all is well. Good questions, topics covered as ever. How many speed sessions per week would you do for a 36-minute 10K? 15 times 1 minute hills, 6 times 1K, 4 times 2 miles threshold long run. Yeah, I mean, speed sessions usually 1 per week, but sometimes 2 per week. Again, I wouldn't even think of doing 2 speed workouts a week until I'm in really great shape. But those types of speed sessions, like you mentioned here, the 6 times 1K, 4 times 2 miles on the roads or on the track. Sometimes just getting out on the roads and doing the repeat 2 miles will keep you energized, rather than just doing the 8 laps around the track. Doing repeat 3200s is a better way to go. 15 times 1 minute hills, that's good. Yeah, 6 times 1K. Yeah, 6 times 1K. Try to branch that out if you can get it out to 10. Eventually, first start off, between doing 3 to 6. Gradually move that out to 10. So you're running the distance of your race. I think that's the way to go, man. I think but I wouldn't do. Usually it's one speed session, high quality VO2 max effort per week, and then as you near like you're in the second half of your buildup, and you can handle those types of doing an additional speed session during the week. I think that's a good plan. And then again, just keep practicing training at 35-50 pace for 10K pace, and getting accustomed to what it feels like to run at that pace. Yeah, you're going to do it, man. Excuse me. 3 WOD. How should I program starting to, let me see here. How should I program starting to run again after coming back from a femoral shaft stress fracture? Man, yeah, I would definitely focus on, again, coming back from injuries, any type of major, I've had 3 knee injuries myself, plenty of other types of more minor injury than a formal shaft stress fracture. I ruptured my plantaris tendon when I was in college. That took me out for several months. I think really it's just about if you can, if you're feeling good, just running once or twice per week, and then spending 2 to 3 weeks doing that, and then gradually adding an additional day. Again, not trying to move too quick too soon. Especially coming back from an injury, you don't want to overstress yourself, both physically and mentally. I think it's natural to want to just get back into the training and move quickly. But and I mentioned too in the past, pool running is if you have access to a pool, get in the deep end of a pool. Pool running there's no impact on the joints, impact on the muscles, but it's basically equivalent to running on land because of the water pressure. And if you're in the deep end of a pool, you can wear a flotation device, do your long runs much easier with that flotation device. But you take the flotation device off, you have to pump your arms much harder. You have to pump your legs and to keep yourself above the water. So both of those types of workouts can be a great option for athletes coming back from injury, because again, you still get the physiological adaptation from those types of workouts, but there's no stress on the joints and the muscles of the body. And you don't have to do that every single day, because it is very, very boring to do pool running. If you've ever done it, it's yeah. But when I was injured, I had piriformis syndrome that lasted several months when I was in Belgium. I was stationed over there and spent a lot of time in the pool. And again, if you want it bad enough, you're going to do it, whether you like it or not, or whether it's boring or not. But if you don't have any other or any type of that's the word I'm looking for, not strength and conditioning, but just doing other types of activities, rowing. But if it's, as long as it's not stressing that part of your body, I would suggest doing that. But start slow and take it easy. Jog. Don't focus on pace. Don't focus on pace per kilometer, pace per mile that you're running. Just focus on general fitness and taking it really relaxed in the first month or two coming back. Whether that's just jogging, a mixture of jogging and walking once or twice per week, and then adding an additional day as you get fitter and fitter. And, again, transitioning from walking and jogging to jogging and then moving to running. I think that's a good plan. So hope that's helpful. Hey, Wazik, is the Hansen method an advisable plan to run sub 330? My PR is 355 and I have a great aerobic base. Yeah, the Hansens are great. Keith and Kevin, I've known them over the years. They're phenomenal coaches. Great program. Highly recommend those guys as well. I remember when I ran, was it 226 at the 2011 Monumental Indianapolis Marathon. They were on the course streaming for me, and yeah, they're great. I think that their plan definitely has produced. Speaks for itself. They definitely have a lot of athletes that have done very well. And I think that you, having already run 355 and you have that great aerobic base built, you definitely have a great plan ahead to go under 3 hours and 30 minutes. Going from a 355 to 330 in a marathon is totally doable. If you run the race smart, don't get too caught up in the first half of the race. And again, that's why I always say, man, make training the most difficult part of the preparation. Because when you go into these races, for these longer races, and this goes for me too. I mean, I remind myself too of all past marathons, past longer races I've run. That race should be not the day you're extremely stressed out. Be stressed out in training, but still stay in control. But make that training, prepare to run under 3 hours and 30 minutes in training, so that when you get to the race, 100% that, hey, whatever my competition throws at me, I'm going to be able to react to it. Because again, I've done the work in training. I've spent adequate time running well below what I'm aiming for. In your case, sub 330. And what is that? 8 minute mile pace? I think 459K pace. And so if you spent some time running down in the 650 mile pace, or around 410 to 420K pace, you're getting that sub 330 marathon pace to feel that much easier for you. You know what I mean? So you definitely are on your way. And congrats dropping 355. And again, yeah, Hansen's Hansen method, a lot of times they say, I was recently asked that by somebody on one of the YouTube videos I made. They said, do you think 16 miles is long enough? The Hansen method mentions around 16 miles. Generally, I think you can still run a great marathon off of doing long runs at 16 miles. But I know like guys like Brian Sell, that was with their program years ago, who ran 210. Brian was, and Luke Humphreys, Mike Morgan, just to name three. Mike Morgan, all those guys qualified for the Olympic trials, and they were all 210. Brian ran 210. Mike ran around 212 to 213 range, and Luke ran around 213, 214 for the marathon. A lot of those guys were going further than 16 miles. So I think that's just a general distance that they generally have most of their runners that they either buy their training plans or follow what they're doing. Again, there are days where you can go a little bit further than that, and I would advise that. I mean, if you're training for a marathon, which is 26.2 miles, you experiment with that, because again, some runners can go out and run great times, set new PRs on 16 miles for their long runs. Others need a little bit further, or maybe need to extend that to get that next 10 minutes off their marathon, or their next 20 minutes or so. Some runners can go out there and drop an hour off their marathon. And I always bring up that there was one of the guys that I coached. He had a PR of 3:46 for the marathon, and he ended up running 2:58. He had 5 kids, and he mentioned, I think it's on one of the testimonial pages too. You can check it out. And he said that he never envisioned himself going from a 3:46 to a 2:58. So in this sport, in this distance, you can drop, as you all know, you can drop a lot of time when you put everything together. It was impressive. Again, it comes, you seeing other athletes do things that they didn't believe that they could do. That to me, that motivates me, because again, it's one thing to do it, train for yourself. But when you see other athletes surpassing what they think they're capable of doing, it's pretty cool. So yeah, keep me posted, Wozniak. I know you're going to get it. Gerald, let's see. During end of first marathon, I was surprised to encounter a sore back. Any ideas on how to work on that? Yeah, it could be just a biomechanic issue. You could be just if you haven't really focused on strength training, it might just mean getting in the gym once per week. You don't have to be in there for very long, 20, 30 minutes, or just focusing on strength and doing some back stretches and back strengthening exercises, strengthen your core, doing planks, doing sit-ups and crunches. Again, making sure that you focus on strengthening the running core muscles of the body as you're racing. But again, in the marathon, you can still sometimes be extremely ready, both physiologically and sometimes something, you'll get a kink or something, like that, you got a sore back after the marathon. It's a long way to race, and Gerald is probably, probably didn't do anything wrong going into that, but it's just the fact that there's so much physiological stress on the body when you're trying to race 26 miles. But again, sometimes it can just be a biomechanics issue. Strength training is, and again, it's what Dr. Jovial says too. He said that Dina Castro, who ran 2:19:36, she had the American record for several years before. Can't remember the lady's name that ran. I think she ran like 2:18 at Berlin and broke the American record. Emily Sisson. She has the record now. But yeah, Dr. Beal said that Dina really did do a lot of strength training, but her strength training was hills. So work on some hills too. If you don't naturally run on a lot of rolling terrain, consider doing that. Again, that just works different muscle groups as you're running over that type of terrain versus running on flat surfaces. So, yeah. Yeah, guys, what Patrick's saying there too, Theo's podcast, Do or Die podcast, he's got a great YouTube channel. If you haven't yet, subscribe to Theo. He's got a great podcast there. It has a lot of great interviews of different athletes. And, it was cool that he reached out to me too and had a discussion with him. So, Theo is very competitive himself. He's at 307 308 marathoner going for sub 3, and definitely we'll get to 259, 59 here soon. But definitely, if you haven't, check out his YouTube channel, Do or Die. It's pretty cool. A lot of good information there too. Let's see here. Wazik, thank you so much for that answer. Yeah, no problem. Really pleased to have found your YouTube channel, and we'll keep you posted. Yeah, I do. It's great interacting with all of you guys. There's a lot of you definitely bring the questions, great questions every week. But built this channel. I started in December of 2009, and first video I made, I was still in the Army. I made it in my office, and it was on breaking the 3-hour marathon barrier. And wife told me years ago, you should start making these videos, start making videos instead of just writing blog posts. And so I started, had to get beyond being an introvert and getting in front of a camera, getting in front of a video. But the more you do it, it's just, like anything else. I mean, again, it's very difficult to go out and do long runs when you're not in great shape, but you do this routinely over and over and over again. It becomes very second nature. And so I definitely enjoy it now, being able to interact with all of you. Thank you. Fauché, I like that with Fauché. Okay. After 6-mile run, I felt pretty good. But when I went out to do some accelerators, I felt a pop in my lower back. Okay. And felt a lot of pain. What should I do to get back to running as soon as possible? Well, definitely definitely don't continue to run on it. If like tomorrow you go out and you try to jog, I think I know I've had what you have too. I haven't really necessarily felt a pop during that, but there's times where I've had lower back issues too. And again, it comes back to more than likely it's biomechanic issue. It's just you have a weakness somewhere. Either you haven't really been focusing on strength training as much, or really focused on doing planks or working on the core muscles. A lot of those times it can be just imbalances that cause that. Sometimes driving long distances, that's what I've had issues with that, where I'll drive to one of my nephew's cross-country track meets, and I'll get out, it's super tight, and I have to take a day or two off completely because my back is so tight, and there's pain there. It generally will go away. Something I would recommend definitely is dry needling. If you haven't, most physical therapists can do this for you. I've never had dry needling on my back, but I will definitely, if this happens again, I will definitely do that. But I've had it on my calves. But any type of tight muscle, if you have any type of issues with tight calves or any type of tight muscle, it's very similar to acupuncture. So they'll go in and put a couple needles, real thin, super thin needles in the tight area, that's the tight muscle area. And it, as soon as they move it in the right spot, you will feel it. It will definitely just about make you jump off the table, but it only hurts that for a split second. It's just it's in that, as soon as they hit it in the right spot, you'll definitely feel that. So I would recommend doing that in terms of remedy. Icing for sure. I would recommend doing a mixture of both warming. If you have a heating pad, put the heating pad on your back prior to the start of doing your next few runs. Like if you do a run tomorrow, or if you can go out today and get a heating pad, they're like $15 or whatever at Target or Walmart or whatever, and warm the muscle prior to going out and running, and then icing when you come back. I would recommend doing that, so you can get back to running as soon as possible. But keep it in check and know, again, it's better to take a week or two off. And even though you'll be frustrated and you'll want to get back into running quick, but it's better to take a week or two off than to continue to train through this and frustrate yourself, and continue to have to deal with this. You know what I mean? So yeah, I hope that helps. But that lower back issue, I have had that in the past too. And usually it only lasts for a few days. And most of the time when that happens to me, I'll take 4 or 5 days off and I won't run. And again, you're not going to lose any fitness in that short amount of time. But I do know it's frustrating too when you're motivated and you're driven, you want to get out there and you want to move, and you can't because, temporarily you got some kind of lower back or knees or whatever it is that's holding you back. But again, just be smart about it and do a mixture of both warmth and icing prior to the start, and definitely icing after you get back from your runs. So yeah, hope that helps, O'Shea. All right. So anybody else, if you have any other questions, I'm going to head out. Hope you all have a great evening and a great week coming up. And yeah, again, saw the Prefontaine Classic. It was pretty cool to see. Definitely seeing how Jakob opened up a season. That was pretty impressive to see him open up with a 3:45 mile. Let's see. Hey, Dream, what are your thoughts of Olympics holding half marathon event future? Yeah, I think it would be cool if they would make the half marathon an Olympic event. That's my favorite race distance. I really like that. I like the 10-mile distance. Actually, I'd say the 10-mile. I really like the 10-mile. That's my favorite distance, and the half marathon second. But yeah, it's like cross country too. They need to bring cross country back to the Olympics. I took it out, I think, 1912. I still can't believe it's not an Olympic sport right now. So many years have passed, and they took it out years ago. But yeah, I think it'd be cool to. I mean, they got the 20,000 meter race walk, which is in and of itself very difficult. Respect to those race walkers out there doing that event, but yeah, the half marathon would be cool to see them bring that back. I'm going to run for you tomorrow, 5K. All right, yeah, that's what I'm talking about, Patrick. Run strong, run confident, be cool in that first mile, and then take off in that last 2 point. It's a 2.1 mile race. Get out aggressive, but man, when they get to the first mile, let the others take off. Stay in control and stay into somewhat of a contact with them, but let them take off the first mile. And once you get to that mile, it's all business. 2.1 miles. That's what it's a 2.1 mile race. So, all right, team. So I'll log off. Appreciate all your support. Great questions, and hope you all have a great evening. And I'll talk to you next Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Take care.